Returning to the series in the slightly more distant future, we arrive on the namesake planet Reach, and about 20 seconds in, the plot spoils itself as it takes an artsy photo of a Spartan helmet smashed to fuck right in the middle of a dark mountainous scene. So from step 1, the audience knows that Reach is fucked, and this becomes the center of the game's story. It's a foregone conclusion sprint where a noble team is going to attempt to salvage things on Reach as best they can, but because Reach is fucked, it's basically a race to see who gets in their coffin last. Now, I don't want to get too nitpicky on the story itself because there's a million different ways that this story could have been told to be interesting, but it is disappointing after playing for the last 6 hours that Bungie took one of the easiest routes of storytelling it could and tries really hard to tell a bleak military hopeless story with stereotypical grizzled veterans who all know that Reach is fucked, but since no one in this game has actual emotions, the gravity of the situation is almost completely lost. This is a way to tell a bleak story with everyone trying to focus on the most positive outcome that could be drudged up from this disaster, yet the story could have delved much deeper if Bungie took some risks and fleshed out the dialogue and characters with some dimensionality, but it seems like the most they put into Noble Team is just giving everyone ridiculous accents to the point that it feels like I'm on a Latin American backpackers tour. I mean, literally, listen to these guys.
What's going on?
Go ahead. Explain.
May I?
Don't cut yourself.
The story is told through the same Halo FPS action that every game up until now has been told, with some slight changes. One change that I got acclimated with is the special abilities feature, where you can slot out your sprint function to trade for a shield, hologram projector, or jetpack, and while sprinting really shouldn't be counted as a special function, the feature did hold some potential in developing a specialty style in-game if you play it long enough, and the game features spaceship combat, but that's about as interesting as recreating a month's worth of data in Microsoft Excel, as it's slow, clunky, and ultimately uninteresting, which is a freaking downfall of the entire development staff. The rest of the story focuses on the last military efforts that can be made to slow Reach's fucking and salvage the situation, with the humans trying to ignore the fact that they're looking at the worst case scenario after the Covenant fleet of dicks arrive to fuck Reach up. After that, some last-ditch efforts are made to evacuate New Alexandria, once the crown jewel city of Reach, and it should have been designed a lot better because the levels in New Alexandria have a look and feel of just a ruined city the game's development team painted white, because there's no narrative elements in-game that tells me that this was a place people were working, or living, or currently evacuating from. Hell, the humans are running around this place so noiselessly that they could have been replaced by packs of crows without changing much because Reach is fucked, but you know, maybe panicking will help the planet feel better after it gets a boot up its ass. The bleak situation on Reach gets a kick in the face about 2/3 in when Noble Team returns to Sword Base and finds a Forerunner artifact detailing the abilities of the Halos, which could turn the tables in the war, and Noble Team goes on to continue sacrificing themselves in the hopes that the Halos could be the saviors of humanity in this war. The credits roll after the Halo data is handed off to Keyes, and we see Noble 6, the last survivor, fighting for his life on fucked Reach, and dies a courageous death after helping humanity in the only way he could at the time, and he does get one of the best death sequences of Noble Team and all of video gaming, with a near perfect blend of gameplay and narrative in one shot. In his epilogue, and alongside George dying to destroy the Covenant advanced carrier, Emil dying to help Keyes escape, and Carter dying to help Noble Team make it to the Pillar of Autumn in the first place, there's just a couple that get the shaft, because Kat dies from a completely random bullet, and June ends up being the only survivor of Noble Team because he was the one helping Halsey escape Reach before Emil, Carter, and Noble 6 went off to the Pillar of Autumn. Despite the story not being as good as it could be, it's still incredibly successful in what it tried to do in portraying the fall of Reach, and segued to the beginning of the first Halo trilogy, and created a brilliant, bleak narrative told by characters trapped on a dying planet just doing their very best to evacuate the planet and carve out some good from the fact that Reach is fucked. The gameplay serves as a fluid vector to which humans can shoot bullets at Covenant with some special abilities and vehicle combat to make it somewhat three-dimensional, and it serves even better in the great multiplayer experience that Halo Reach can offer, I say just because I played the shit out of Halo Reach multiplayer back in the day. As a player who makes a hobby out of reviewing video games, I am glad to see that one franchise managed to make a solid and compelling prequel that didn't trip over itself to connect all the dots, and ended up being closer to MGS3 than MGS5. Well guys, the final word is that with the Pillar of Autumn flying off into the horizon, next time we'll be looking at the game that started this whole mess, and hopefully we'll then see if the Halos will be the instrument to which the humans can start trampling over the Covenant. Guess we won't know until that day, so let's just end here with the scoreboard. And victory for gamers. Why? Because y'all deserve it, my friends.